Okay, hi guys, welcome back. Today, this film club, we're talking about High Life, the Claire Denis movie starring Robert Pattinson. Sam, what were your initial opinions after only watching half of the movie?
Oh, yeah. So, explanation to the fans. I was only able to see half of the movie because I have very bad internet. Shout out to all those people that live in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. I like the movie. I thought, I don't know. I just love, the existentialism that basically any movie involving space brings up, just because I'm an existential nut. Even though it seemed like there's some scientific inaccuracies and also some dumb things that he did that didn't really make sense. But other than that,
Okay, and Aidan, your initial opinions.
Um, well, first of all, I just don't like it. but
what?
my first thing is, I feel like it didn't have to be in space. I feel like for what she's trying to do with her metaphorical, like existential ideas, like it's cool that it's in space, but I don't think they spend so much time, like pointless time, just explaining everything.
Yeah, that was definitely, in my opinion, the weakest part of the movie was the exposition.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it needed to be there. And then also just the way they frame all the sexual things in the movie, I just felt it was
That was weird.
Those are all valid points.
So
I felt like the pointlessness of their space mission, as it slowly revealed, they start to realize, and we start to realize how pointless their expedition is. We have these pointless tasks that we go about just throughout life, but it's also about the overarching magnitude of that pointlessness. Nihilism in a good way.
I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be nihilism. You could look at it from just a philosophical point of view. It's not necessarily nihilist, but you could say that it was like a transition from literally life. So you look at Earth as like, the starting point, all the way to a black hole, which in a way is like kind of like science's greatest mystery right now. So kind of, I don't know, black hole the black hole represents death. But what it looks like is that they're going towards a black hole, and it's almost like that metaphorical journey towards death. What do you guys think like sexuality had like in Robert Pattinson's psyche, and why was he abstinent?
That
I
was
don't know.
that was definitely, I think that the weird sex stuff was definitely the strangest part of the movie. It became clear why they were against having children, because
Yeah.
they realized they were basically in a microwave, and that it killed them and the children. And it also, it made sense why Juliette Binoche's character wanted to do babies. It was her scientific approach, but it was also the conclusion to her Medea story, where she killed her own children, so now it's her sole purpose to create life after she destroyed it. There were very loose backstories for why most of the characters were on it.
Well,
Was there a lot of like deeper biblical stuff that I missed? Because I just didn't.
None of it was biblical. There was some classical stuff, like Greek and Roman stuff.
Okay. I wasn't sure because because I just don't have knowledge on that, and sometimes I miss.
But honestly, that's mostly inference based. You have to infer that that's what it is. Like with Juliette Binoche's character, her being Medea was an inference. Yeah, for me, I just found a poignancy to the like pointlessness.
The only part that I found like really good meaning to, and like the only part that I connected to, was the very, very end.
Yeah, the very end was, I definitely think, sorry to exclude you, Sam, but it was probably the best part. Just the idea of going forward into certain death.
I mean, Claire Denis obviously understands film, but also at the same time, I feel like this shouldn't have been a movie, and it should have just been a book.
That's definitely fair. That's what a lot of people said. That I think all the stuff that you like about this movie, you'll find in any of Claire Denis' other work.
Right.
And without the stuff that is less likable.
I feel like it also could have just been like as easily been in a prison.
Well, it's supposed to be symbolic of prison.
Yeah.
Prison, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, but it could have just been in an actual prison.
That's true. But then where the kid have come from, and that's
Yeah, but I also feel like the kid didn't. Like, I mean, it obviously played an important part, but did it have to?
that's the thing. I think there were 3 separate stories happening.
Yeah.
There was the story of Robert Pattinson's guilt back on Earth. There was the story of the travelers hurtling into their doom and the slow falling apart of them. And then there was the
Yeah.
story of father and daughter alone in space, knowing that they're going to die alone, but still being hopeful. There's those 3 stories, and I think, yeah, they could have been each been 3 separate works. But for me personally, I think the combination of the 3 creates the contrast needed to really push the film along.
Yeah.
Spicy.
It felt like a drag.
That's good.
I just was being dragged along. It made me it made me think of Interstellar a lot, and I think a lot of other people have said that.
Yeah, it seems like it came right in the same time as a bunch of those space movies. Like you had Gravity, you had Interstellar.
I don't like Interstellar. I love Christopher Nolan, but I do not like Interstellar. I don't know. I found like it grasped for meaning too much, whereas this film didn't really have any, and that's what I liked about it.
I like the in between. I don't love Interstellar, but I like it.
You just don't like Interstellar because your mom doesn't like Matthew McConaughey.
No, I love Matthew McConaughey. I don't like Interstellar. Matthew McConaughey is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think Arrival is actually the perfect like middle in between.
Arrival's a very
solid. Interstellar and Arrival's right here.
Yeah, that's a solid movie. Oh. But Robert Pattinson was good. Like, I mean,
I would add Robert Pattinson to one of my favorite actors now. Now that I've seen a couple,
he's amazing.
Better.
Yeah, he's been one of my favorites for a while.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's really good.
Shame that he did Twilight.
That's what he has to repent for. But honestly, he played Edward really well. He played the terrible part of Edward really well.
I'm curious for what Claire Denis' next movie with Margaret Qualley and Robert Pattinson is going to be like.
Oh yeah, she is doing that.
I hope it's good because those 2 actors are like 2 of my favorite people out there right now.
I mean, the movie she made before High Life, Arrival at Sunshine or something like that, is fantastic. Like it's impossible to say otherwise. Because
I see where High Life could have been really good. I feel like she could have just changed a few things and I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah. That's basically what everybody all the critics have said about it. What were you saying, Sam? I
said, like, Aidan, what would you change about it? Like, I'm curious.
I think I'd take out the child portion of the story. I didn't feel like, I feel like they established it immediately and then kind of dropped it more or less.
That was a weird thing about it, is there was just a chunk in the movie where I forgot about the future storyline because they were so focused on
less of the gross stuff would have been cool.
But Claire Denis thrives on the gross stuff. That's her whole thing.
I just felt like there was no place for it. I mean, like it had its story portions, but like,
the head exploding in the space helmet. Aidan.
No, that I'm not talking about that. That was I liked that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you missed a lot of the movie, Sam.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm okay with that. It's the sexual gross stuff that I just felt like was the beating of the guy. Like, I understand.
Like that whole sex scene.
Oh yeah, when they like that was prolonged. Yeah. That was prolonged.
Yeah. I understand why she did all that stuff. It just could have been done in a much gentler to the mind way.
I think she wanted to avoid gentleness though, to kind of show the stark like disparity that all the crew members were feeling.
Yeah, I understand that as well. It's just there's a lot of movies that do that without being gross.
That's fair.
But maybe I'm being a boomer. I don't know.
You are. I'm gonna have to say you're being a bit of a boomer, but I also get where you're coming from.
Yeah, we understand you, boomer. I think there's a little thing that we could explore about his character where there's a scene where he's in the garden with some guy, I forget his name, and they were just both gardening, 3000. And he called him Monk, which I thought was, if you kind of take that little kernel and you kind of look at his life, I think it's almost like a spiritual journey. Now, I haven't seen the end of the movie, so maybe there's no spiritual journey.
I definitely, I definitely agree with that. They call him Monk a couple times throughout it.
Yeah, because he's sexually chaste, and then he's just, I don't know, it almost seems like he's meditating for his death as he's moving towards the black hole. Because, like going towards the black hole, direct course, is the most certain death you could ever possibly have, because there's no escape from a black hole once you enter.
Yeah.
That is like the human representation of death on the highest level, other than almost any other object in existence. You can go on death row and you could probably maybe get out if someone breaks you out, but you're going towards a black hole, you are going to die. Coming to terms with that, and people coming to terms with their own death, it's the human condition.
No, yeah, I definitely think that there's a spiritual level to him being a monk that I actually think wasn't explored enough. That was
I agree.
the biggest problem with this movie, is it felt like there was a lot to say, but they only took one little bit of each of the 1,000 things that needed to be said and said them in small little micro doses and then moved on. So it was a menagerie of ideas that didn't really amount to anything. Although I think it did, but for a different reason.
Yeah, but it's because you're a nihilist.
Yeah, kind of.
The point is, Robert Pattinson is good.
I think that is what we can all agree on. Robert Pattinson
Moral of the
is very
story.
good. Bye, y'all.